Blacking China, Season 2, sponsored by Hayden T. Joseph, Certified Public Accountant. Visit us at advancedamericantax.com.
Yeah, he was.
你们现在就在看黑人在中国。
黑人在中国。
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 I'm gay, by the way. But in general, it's just difficult because you're either somebody's erotic fantasy or they've never would consider you, because there's a hierarchy here. People really like white people in Hong Kong. They like white people, they like Japanese people, they like Koreans, they like Thai. And they almost like them, they almost like other Hong Kong people, but generally they don't like darker people. But if you can get past that, there are some nice, cool people. But the first few times I tried dating or like going out on dates with people, it's just it was very shocking. I was like, I'm definitely not up to being your erotic fantasy. That's not why I'm here. Yeah. But yeah, it's similar. You got to go through all the shit to get to the goal. No, they do have a pride here. They have and then they have another celebration called Pink Dot. Pink Dot's kind of like just a concert with people from you can be straight, gay, it doesn't matter what you are. It's just like a celebration of being you, being happy. Yeah. There's a lot of things. There's not a lot of black people in Hong Kong, so there's definitely not a lot of black gay people in Hong Kong. So it's kind of a very small few people, and so you kind of all get to know each other after a while. Yeah. But it's a very small scene anyway.
Everyone's like pretty cool now, and I don't know, surprisingly, there are a ton of gay people in the group too. Like it's really weird. I think like Dragon Boat is where like gay Chinese guys go. It's like meet each other. I don't know, shit. But yeah, nah, it's like pretty cool though. And it's a good way to meet like Chinese people and potentially make friends. That's like it's more organic than like, hey, you teach me Chinese, I teach you English. Like it's just like more of a basis. So it's been pretty cool.
So first, I didn't even think about it because I came here in a relationship. But once that was over, I was like, oh, I can just kind of like, all right, cool, I can actually meet people now. But I was hanging out with my gay friend Hector, and he's actually the reason why I started even talking to other girls here. Because we were at a cafe, because gay people love cafes for some reason. And we were at a cafe, and he was just like, let me see if this dude is on this app. I'm looking at him, he looks so cute, let me see if he's on this gay app. So he pulls out his phone, and he's like looking through all the dudes who are like in the area. And I'm just like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm trying to see if he's here. Like, I need to find me a guy. There's so many around here. But there's not that many. He said there's not that much in Harbin, but there's lots around still. Because, I mean, we're in China, it's a lot of dudes. So there's lots of gay people. And he was like, you need to find yourself an app. You need to download an app. And I'm like, I don't even know what app to download. So he was like, I don't know, let's look. So he starts looking for me on his phone. He's like, oh, I found this thing called Les Park. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I found it too. He's like, yeah, you should download it. So I get on the cafe's Wi-Fi and connect my VPN, because that's the only way I can download apps from the Google Play Store. And I download Les Park, and I put a picture up, add some things, blah, blah, blah. So, I got on the lesbian app, and people were like, hit me up and talking to me. So there's this one girl She was like, you know, not that far, like down, like she lived like down the street near the mall, and you know, she wanted to hang out. So the first night we met, I saw her. She's of course shorter than me. She looked like a little 15-year-old boy. You know, she smoked. She was skinny, scrawny, little. I don't know. She was not my type at all whatsoever. So we went to the bar because like it was like a random day of the week. So like I had class the next day, but so we went to the bar and she was just trying to suck my face off the whole time, and I was like, whoa there, like this is like really really fast. Like the whole time we're sitting there, she was just trying to like devour my face, and I was like, okay, this is a bit much. Like I wasn't expecting this, and then. She was like, oh, go to the bathroom with me. I'm like, okay, like that's kind of weird, but a lot of Asian girls go to the bathroom together. So I was like, I don't know if this is like a thing or like, I don't know this. So I was like, all right, whatever. So I go with her. She's a mess. Let's just say that. Like, I'm not even. So just moving on. Let's just say, she was, we were in that bathroom for 10 minutes or whatever. But anyways, let's just moving on. It was already late, and wherever she went, like her boss, like was already asleep or something. So she ended up coming, and she stayed in my room that night. She wouldn't let me sleep. Like my roommate was in the room, but she would not let me sleep. And I'm like, wow, this girl has a lot of energy. This small, teeny looking, 15-year-old boy looking girl, like she had the energy of like 1,000 years. I don't know. I was like, I just want to go to sleep, but she kept waking me up. And I don't know, but I mean, I couldn't complain, but I was just like, this is too much. Like, chill out, it's okay. So, you know, the next morning she gets up, she leaves, blah, blah, blah. I don't really like her, but she's calling me wife now. And, like, let's say 2 days later, she was like, I love you. And I was like, don't. Like, I was like, no, I'm going home in a few months. Like, don't love me. Like, just please. And she was like, oh, but I love you so much and this and that. I was like, I just met you, like, a couple of days ago. Like, no. And so, like, every few minutes, like, she was always texting me, constantly texting me, like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? What are you doing? Where are you at? When are we gonna hang out? Like, and she wouldn't stop bothering me. And I was just like, this is too much. So she got really annoying, and I just started to ignore her. I mean, it was like, everything was cool. Like, I even went to her house one day, and like, I saw her coworker. She works at home, so she has like a lot of time. When she works, she's literally like just chatting with people. So she has lots of time to just text me. Too much time to text me. And I was like, no, I can't do this. So I started ignoring her. And then it was this other girl. I found her on the lesbian app. I met her because she was like, oh, let's eat dinner. And I'm like, okay, let's go eat dinner then. And met her. She was shorter than me too, but she was more one of those like fashionable, I'm cool looking, you know, like I'm trying to be hot lesbians. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So we go eat, but the whole time we're at dinner, like she, you know, ordered all this food, and she was literally on her phone every 5 minutes. So she would be like, oh, like the first time I was like, oh, I have a phone call. She gets up, walks away. I'm like, oh, no, that's okay. Like, you know, it happens. She comes back. And then, like, 2 minutes later, she's like, oh, I have a phone call. And she would get up, and she would leave, and she would come back. And she's like, oh, phone call. And she would get up, and she would go, and she would, like, come back. And I'm like, okay. And, like, when we're talking, she kept getting frustrated because, like, my Chinese wasn't that great. It was okay. Like, and I got by with talking to other people with my basic Chinese, but she was just getting frustrated. And, like, these Dongbei Hua speakers, like, their Chinese is so strong, and it's just so, like, it's not regular Puton Hua. So she would get so frustrated, and I'm like, bruh, like, chill out. It's okay. Just be patient. But like I said, every 5 minutes she was getting up to talk on the phone. So I was sitting there eating dinner by myself, but like for the majority of the time. She still paid for it, and afterwards I was like walking to see my friends so we could put money on my phone card. So I walked down there to see him, and then she walked off, and I was like, all right, bye, see ya. We texted a little bit after that. I was like, oh, like next time maybe I'll pay for it or something. I don't know. There was no next time, even though like she was just so disrespectful the whole time though. So I was like, it'd be cool. Like I wouldn't even be mad if I didn't see you again.
Yeah, I mean, I've used apps before. People use apps. But, I mean, an app is just an app at the end of the day. It depends on what you do with the app. Now, I do think, just like anything, apps have, you know, now people are saying apps make people a little more open. Apps make people a little more open. You know, you're more likely to be open online compared to, you know, sitting across the table from someone. It's really complicated because, I mean, race does have an influence here. And so with that being said, like, I made a point in a group that I'm in to, I was talking about how no one talks about, like, people talk about constantly how, I guess, black people are sexualized, you know, but most of the time it's almost one-sided. Like, I know being a black man, like, do you know how many people just offer me sex just because I'm a black man and say, hey, I want to be with a black man. It's this. You know, although I am sexualized, it's constantly offered, but that makes it more complicated, I guess, when you just want to be in the dating pool, you know. But as far as dating here, it's possible. For me, I'm not typically, I guess, romantically interested in, I guess, the average, you know, Chinese guy, which works out, you know, for things like business and, you know, all of that type of stuff. But, I mean, there are a billion people in this country, you know, so that's the thing. So I guess it makes it hard for me to find someone that I like them immediately. And you know what I mean by that is that whole, like, love at first sight type of thing. Meaning, like, you know, when you see someone and you're attracted to all of them, you know, physically, and now you just need to get the emotional aspect. For me, it's hard, I guess, to get that here, but it is possible. It's not impossible, you know. It just makes it a little more complicated. But, I mean, you know, you always have the option to date expats. I guess, you know, a lot of expats do date other expats here. But, I mean, the localized Chinese people are very, well, I won't say Chinese people, but, I mean, it's not a thing where people say, hey, I just, you know, don't like you. I mean, you have some people who are like that, but, you know, the large majority of people, you know, they're also just looking for someone who cares and who loves, you know. So that, at the end of the day, that's what's important, you know, when dating. And so that's possible here. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like, so so there's actually a new gay app called Blue now. So it was just Grindr and Jack, but now there's Blue as well. So when like someone messages me on there, like, so the typical Chinese way is like there's like no profile picture, it's like a Pikachu or some random thing, and then they'll just be like, hey, and I'll be like, hey, I'll be like, so what's up? Like, kind of like go back and forth a little bit, and they're like, after all that, like, their first question is like, oh, like, do like your friends know you're gay, or like, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, do your parents, and I'm like, yeah, and they're just like, and I'm like, do yours? And they're just like, oh no, I'm like, no, or whatever. And like, I've talked to like a lot of like gay Chinese guys in person, and they're just like, oh well, China isn't like America. And I think they just have this perception that like, oh, everyone's gay in America, but like coming out is like not easy anywhere by any means. So, because I mean, I know like my mom knows, my brother knows, like I have cousins who know, but like I'm still not out to like everyone, because like I feel like coming out is just like a process. Like my granddad like doesn't know, but I feel like, okay, I don't want to talk about that, but yeah. So I mean, it's not easy, like no matter like where you are, and I feel like some people like fail to realize that. Because I was actually just talking to a guy last night. It was just like, yeah, like, no, like China is different. Like you can't do that. And it was actually an interesting case, because sometimes in China it is like a bit harder at times because of the one-child policy. So like your parents like place a lot of pressure on you. Like you're like the only boy to kind of like continue like the line or whatever. But I mean, the guy I was talking to last night, he has like an older brother, and I'm just like, dude, like it's not like that like big. I mean, it's a big deal, but like your parents aren't gonna freak out. Like there's still someone to carry the line or whatever. So
unless they're both gay.
I know. Oh shit. Then we have a problem, maybe. But
and the other one already came out, so it's like,
yeah.
What are you gonna do now?
You are the hope of our family. But yeah. So I mean, I've experienced that, and also like it's. I know a lot of some of my like Western friends in China who date Chinese guys. It's kind of like a stereotype that like Chinese guys can be like really, really fast. Like it's just like, oh, you go on a few dates, then like, or you go on one date and you're like dating like suddenly, or it's just like becomes like goes from like 0 to 10 in like 2.5 seconds. I actually experienced this last night. There was this guy that I met up with. We met at the basketball court. We were just talking, like hanging out, maybe like an hour. And he was just like, I like you. Like, can we date now? And I'm just like, okay. Like, it was just really, like, sudden. So, yeah, so I guess I'm dating a Chinese guy now, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, so...
Is he the one?
Who knows? I mean, according to him, maybe that we're gonna date for a week and he's gonna propose. But yeah, I don't know. It's different, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
I also feel like in mainland culture, just coming out of what they've been through, so much is like so much pressure is placed on these children to like, all right, you are this whole family's future. You need to have a baby so that we can continue this family line. So I think their priorities are very different. And here it's a little different too. Much like more people focus on the family aspect of it. Yeah, I'm dating you, but like family still comes first. And so there are a lot of people that are still in the closet. Also, a lot of people live with their families and that they're not as open about who they are sexually. So, I mean, it kind of spans the spectrum. You have people that are very openly gay in Hong Kong as well. But you have people that are very traditional in Hong Kong as well. So it's a very interesting place because things are changing. You have like very traditional right up against very modern, very open-minded people. Yeah. That's one of the harder things about dating people from Hong Kong, because this is very new to them, like having their own sexual identity. And I feel like they also come into their sexual identity a little bit later than Western people, because we have so much more sexual images thrown at us from a young age that like it forces us to be a little bit more mature. And like if I were dating somebody my age, I'm 23, like we just don't relate. We don't click on this like on the same level. Like I'm already thinking, okay, I want to be a manager. I want to, in 5 years, go back home, start a business. Whereas if you're 23 here, you're just not there yet. You're just out of university, or you're still with your parents, living at home, working a job in your career, but you're not as forward thinking. And so when all those other pieces aren't in place, it's like very difficult to think about, all right, let's start dating.
There's one girl that like she would message me every once in a while like, oh, I like your tattoos, oh, where are you from, what are you doing, blah blah blah. She sent me a picture of her and she was kind of cute. She wasn't like like a dom like a really boyish looking girl, but she was kind of one of those like tomboyish looking girls, like in the middle, like I look like a girl but I could look like a boy if I wanted to type of girls. And I was like, oh no, but she's really sweet. Like she was really sweet. And after a while, I was like, oh, okay, like I mean, yeah, she's nice. This is cool. Okay, I could see if this could go somewhere. She's like 5'2", so like of course, again, I'm taller than them. But I was like, okay, let me see. She was like, oh, do you want to go out to dinner sometime? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Like we can go out to dinner. Like she was offering this, and like she was like, oh, I want to meet you. Like I really want to see you. And I'm like, okay, like, but it wasn't like one of those pushy, persistent, like really, Like, you know, it was kind of like chill. It was nice. Even like her job, like they don't really know she's a lesbian. Only her family knows, and like her best friends know. Like no one knows she's a lesbian. So I asked her, I'm just like, when people see you in public with me, like you live here, like people are gonna see you at some point. She's like, oh, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, but you don't want them to know. But like if we're out, people see me. Like I bring attention. I have green hair. Like I have people. I'm a foreigner. I'm black, and I'm with you. Like I stand out. People are gonna notice that you're with me. And she's like, I don't see the problem. And I'm like, I don't understand you. Like I don't get it. But she's okay with being seen with me in public places all the time. Like, cause we're always together. Like when we go out. But of course she calls me a Bow Bear, which is like baby. And she just like, that's just the name she calls me. Like when we're in public, she just calls me that. So people of course have to know. She doesn't hide it when we go in public. I still think it's weird because it's like, you don't want your people to know, but you're being so open when we're out in public. I don't know, but it's cool. I like her. I like having her around. She's nice. What is a lesbian? Okay, so like, lesbians don't look like anything, but specifically in China, they have like a group. You're either a P, a T, or an H. A P is a princess, which I would be a P. A T is a tomboy, which is all the ones that look like dudes. And then the H is in the middle. Don't know what it stands for. Ask Helen. She has no idea what H stands for. It's just a H. I don't know. But like I think, I say it's half and half. Because, I mean, you could go either way.
But, and I'm pretty sure, maybe it's just because I was in the collegiate environment, but, like, being, like, in China, like, Shenzhen and Xiamen, like, when I get messages, it's just, like, very, like, to the point, like, hey, like, I want to see it. Or, like, some shit like that. And I'm just, like, we're just, like, yeah, I hear, like, you're black, like, you know what they say, ... And I'm just, like, okay, people. Like, slow down, like, can I at least get, like, a ni hao, like... He's a young, like something. Like, can I get that? Like lead into it, but nah, it's just like very like direct. So I usually ignore messages like that because I mean I feel it's a bit dehumanizing, you know? Because I mean I'm more than like yeah. So I mean it's just I'm a person. I have feelings. I have like thoughts. I have ideas. So yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you have been objectified.
Yeah, I've been objectified, and it doesn't feel good. Because I remember I was talking to one of my friends, this guy that we kind of dated in college. We only dated for like 2 weeks, so it doesn't really count. But I was telling him about it. He's like Chinese too, but he was Chinese American. And he was like, oh yeah, like that's like really great, right? And I'm just like, no, like it's not great, like at all. But I don't know, it's different.
Yeah, I think you did a really good job at not over-sexualizing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when people interview or they talk to like homosexual, transgender, or whatever you want to call it, you know, people are not necessarily the status quo. They over-sexualize them, and it's like, okay, if every time, you know, you as a heterosexual person had to sit on the couch, somebody had to talk to you about, you know, who you dating, who you fucking, or whatever, that would be a problem. But you know, the whole heterosexual world likes to just, you know, they want everybody else's life, if it's not the status quo, to just be an open book. You know, and I find that problematic. But I think you did a really good job at, like you said, you know, tell me about dating, you know, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I appreciate that.